Shalom, family. I wanted to do this video to encourage our men to endeavor in husbandry. The term husbandry is actually in the scriptures. It was actually the first job that man had, which is actually gardening, basically. Notice the first thing he told Adam to do was to till the soil. Okay, and so when you think about this, we want to kind of go back to what we were doing, because what we were doing back in those days, things were it was better for us as far as the food that we're eating. And one thing I want to bring out is this here. I want you to think about this, right? A young man today, if he wants to get fit and trim, what does he do? He actually goes to the gym. He works out at the gym, go bike riding, go doing all these different things for a workout. When actually, back in the early days, the workout was actually where? Out in the field, out in the garden. Wasn't no need to go and exercise because you got it all out there in the garden. And guess what? It profit you. How did it profit you? Because you are growing vegetables, you're raising your own food. You know, the scripture says bodily exercise profiteth little, but exercising out to grow your own food is incredible. Because, and I want to say this, when I first started working out, really working out in the field, doing gardening and planting and stuff, since then I have probably dropped, I would say, close to 40 pounds just working out being out there working in the garden and doing that kind of stuff. 40 pounds. I still got a little ways to go, and I'm still out here, I'm still doing this, and I tell you, it's really awesome to just get out in nature and just do these things. Plant your own food, grow your own food. And some things I want to show you. This greenhouse here. We put together this greenhouse out of pallet racks. And pallet racks are the things that if you go into a warehouse and you see these huge shelving units that they have to store merchandise on, well, those shelvings are called pallet racks. Okay, and so we got a pallet rack, we cut it in half, and we actually built this greenhouse, and it works extremely well. I mean, this is probably the biggest greenhouse. This is the biggest greenhouse we've had so far, and it turned out pretty nice. It's nice and warm here right now. I'm a little hot in here. It's a little chilly outside. It's roughly about 55 degrees, but in this greenhouse it got to be 75 degrees, you know, or warmer. And so I want to encourage you all to do a greenhouse. You can do a small greenhouse. The first greenhouse we did was a smaller one. It was roughly 10 by 20, I think it was. And it was a hoop style greenhouse that we used PVC to make. And it worked out just fine, you know. And so I want to encourage you, do a greenhouse. Plant yourself your own food, you know. Just take a look at some of the things that we're growing here, you know. We're growing onions, and we're growing okra, and a whole lot of different things that's not really ready to be out in the field growing, because they're supposed to be, the temperature got to be a little warmer for some of these plants. But guess what? It's warmer in the greenhouse, so you can start everything early in the greenhouse. And believe it or not, this is March. We actually had plants growing in February. That's right, we had plants growing in February, and it was cold. But because when you have a greenhouse and when you have a controlled environment like this, you can grow things earlier, you know. But this is something that we really done. All of my children too are into it, and we really have taken this husbandry thing to heart. And I'm raising my boys, telling them, hey, I want you to be farmers. I want you to understand what it means to grow your own food. And they love it. You know, they do other things too, because I'm teaching them other things in business and stuff too. But to be a farmer and to grow your own food, raise your own animals, that's control. That's the kind of control you want. You understand? You need that type of control in your life to control your own food. You know, you go to the grocery store. Let me tell you something. We grew some asparagus, okay, and we got asparagus growing. The first stalk came up a few weeks ago, and this stalk had gotten, I mean, a week ago it was about this tall. I mean, within a week this stalk was about this tall. Now, mind you, if you get asparagus from the store, let me show you the difference. This asparagus was this tall, right? All the way down to the bottom of this asparagus, it was tender and sweet. We ate it raw, and it was tender and sweet. The flavor of it was incredible, okay? Now, in the store when you buy asparagus, notice you have to cut the bottoms off because they're too tough, right? It wasn't like this with this asparagus. This thing grew this tall, and it was tender all the way down to the bottom. It was tender and good. So I'm telling you, this growing your own food. When we first grew our first really big cabbage a few years ago, I took a leaf off the cabbage and just ate it right off the cabbage, and the flavor of it was so much greater than any cabbage I've ever gotten out of the grocery store. You see, and so growing your own food, having your own garden is so crucial. You know, you gotta do it. You gotta figure out a way to do it. You can come together with a friend and say, hey, I don't have no land, I don't have enough space in my backyard for this. Can I do it in your backyard? Can I do a garden? We can share the food. You know, you should really consider it. Consider doing something, growing something. I'm telling you, you will love it. It is an incredible feeling to get your own tomatoes, make your own salad from your backyard. It is absolutely incredible. I love it. I absolutely love it. And you know, we really trying to get young men to understand how important it is that they go into doing this. It's so important that you and I understand. Let me tell you something. Years ago, when we lived in Michigan, we had a nice big garden back then. You know, we had an acre of land, and we had a huge garden actually. You know, and the soil was different. The soil was so good and so easy. But when we moved here, the soil was a lot harder to work with, and so I didn't enjoy coming out working in the garden for a little time when we were first here. I didn't enjoy it as much because it was just harder to work with, and because it's a warmer area, the weeds were just coming up faster than the food you plant, and it was kind of just hard to work with. But eventually, we got it under control, figure out ways to deal with the weeds and ways to do it. So now I'm very excited about getting out here in the garden, you know. And I just want you to look at some of the things that we're doing out here. You know, we decided to try something new this time. We're doing, well, our raised beds normally would have been this yard timber out of wood. It's supposed to be treated wood. But let me tell you something, after two to 3 years, that yard timber would be rotten on the bottom. And after 4 years, you got to pull it up and put some more down. So we decided to go with center blocks this year. Center blocks, they last forever. Those things, they don't corrode or tear up like that, and you don't have to replace them. You got them. They're there, you know. And so center blocks is just the way to go. They deal with water well, you know. So we decided to do the center block thing, and it just seemed like it's much better, you know. And another thing, we're still going to do the putting the wood chips on top, but we're going to just do it in raised beds, you know, have more of a controlled garden, you know. It's really the way to go. You know, I just want to encourage you brothers, hey, let's get back to husbandry. It's called husbandry after the man. It was something that the men would see. Now it's mostly women that's trying to get into this. But no, this husbandry is for men. It's the original thing that Yah gave you to do, and the reason why things are so different is because we have chosen a different path based on our environment. Now food is fast. Everything is fast, fast, fast. Go to the grocery store. Let's just think about it. You go to the grocery store in the middle of winter and you're getting crops and vegetables that only there's actually warm climate vegetables and fruit. Well, why is that? That's because they're shipping it from somewhere down south or from another country down in Mexico. They're shipping that stuff from these places to you so that we'll have it all in the wintertime. And so when you think about all this, like, man, what if we could have a more controlled environment like a greenhouse, and we can grow some of those things inside the greenhouse? You know, I'm hearing stories of people raising tilapia in greenhouse, people growing fruit, tropical fruit in greenhouses. And so I think that this is something that we should take on. We should start a new black farmers movement. We should start it because so many blacks have gotten out of farming until it's horrible when you look at the statistics now of the number of blacks that are in farming now, and black farmers can't even give their farms away to their relatives. Their relatives don't even want them. You see, their offspring don't want them, and their grandchildren don't want it. You know, don't want the farm, and that's just our mindset. Now, why do I need a farm? You know, I never forget when I told someone years ago that I was going to raise chickens, and they said, "Well, why raise chickens? Well, you could just go to the store and get the chicken." I said, well, the point is, it's what they putting in the chicken that you get from the store, you know. And so people then say, well, we got the Easter market here. It's in Detroit. You know, we got the Easter market. We go down to Easter market. Yeah, but still a lot of that food is not raised right, you know. And so we just got to get back to the basics, you know. We got to go back to the basics of planning and growing our own food, raising our own animals, our own livestock, you know, raising our own chickens, raising goats and other animals, you know. We got to somehow get back to this, you know. And I just want to encourage you to try to find friends and people who are like-minded. Talk to them about getting out, growing their own food, and how important it is that you grow your own food, you know. I think we should really push this thing like a new movement, you know. Come on, let's grow our own food. Let's really push this grow our own food thing, you know. I don't know how I can make it, you know, to where our people can see how important it is. You know, I just don't know what to say, but I know one thing: you let stuff go crazy in this country, and I tell you, if you have a garden and a greenhouse where stuff go crazy, you'll have some food. You got a little pond in your yard and you got fish in it, you'll have some food. You got fruit trees on your land, on your little property, as a matter of fact. You ain't gotta have a lot. You know, there are people that got several fruit trees on a small city lot. Several fruit trees. So they can get go and get fruit off their trees. You understand what I'm saying? So this is the thing that I want you to understand, that it doesn't take much. And I know sometimes you say to yourself, yeah, but I don't have that much land. I don't have that much. There's a Dervey family that's in California that has such a small lot, city lot, and they're growing hundreds, thousands of pounds of food in this small city lot. It's incredible when you see the food that they're growing. And so you can do it too. If they can do it, you can do it. City lot. And I think we need to stop with the excuses of why, or just get to the point where you understand how important it is. You know, we're just content to go into the grocery store when one day you're gonna go to the grocery store, ain't gonna be nothing there. You understand what I'm saying? One day a person is gonna go to the grocery store and there ain't gonna be nothing in the grocery store. what are you going to do then? Then everyone are going to wish that they had seed saved up, or had a garden, or had something going on. You're going to wish it. And so I really want to encourage you to just do these things. Save, buy seeds. Those things are going to be the new gold. Trust me. When the dollar crashes, livestock, cows, goats, sheep, chickens, quail, pigeons, all of that stuff are going to be the new gold. Seeds, fruits, and vegetables are going to be the new gold. You understand me? Because think about this, right? Let's say the dollar crashes, right? And things go belly up and there's no food in the grocery stores and all this, right? Well, you got a gold coin and you're going to go to somebody, they got a farm, right? And you say, man, I got a gold coin here, I want to purchase some chickens. That guy's going to look at you and be like, what I'm going to do with that gold? What am I going to do with it? I can't plant it. I can't feed it to the chickens, huh? And if I go with this gold coin, try to buy a cow from somebody, these gold coins, and try to buy a cow from somebody, they may look at it and say, well, what am I going to do with that gold? Psh, don't you know the scripture actually prophesied and said that the gold, your gold is not going to deliver you? The money is not going to help you. Gold and silver isn't going to help you in those times. But guess what? If you got livestock, you got food growing, my goodness, let me tell you something. That's going to be the new gold. Trust me on it. That's exactly what's going to be the new gold. And so, that being said, I hope this really encouraged you to try to say, let me try to do something. Let me try to do something. When I lived in Detroit as a young man, we always had a garden, you know, and my neighbors had fruit trees. Almost every neighbor down the street had fruit trees. Cherry trees, apple trees, peach, plum trees. Everybody had that stuff growing in their yards. So, you know, it's kind of funny in the city of Detroit, people having fruit trees like that in their backyard. And when I was a kid, we used to try to raid some of them trees too. But I'm going to tell you something. Man, we kept a garden. And I'm talking about a garden. Our garden was probably no bigger than about, I want to say 20 by 10 space. Probably 20 by 10 space, if that much. It probably wasn't even that big. More like, I would say probably more like 15 by, I want to say 8. 15 by 8. It was roughly about 15 by 8 space. We grew everything. We had tomatoes, we had corn, we were growing everything in that little small space. And we always had vegetables, we always had stuff that we can eat. You know, we had beans growing, we had this growing, we had that growing. You know, we grew up too. You had stuff growing up so that we had more space to plant more vegetables, you know. And so we always had a garden. As far as I can remember as a little boy, when we were living on the west side of Detroit, we always had a garden. Probably, I want to say, since I was probably about 10 years old, you know, we had always had a garden, you know. And I'm telling you, it is definitely the way to go. And people just gotten out of it over the years. Over the years, I started noticing a lot of my neighbors stopped doing gardens. They used to have gardens, they just stopped doing them, you know. And it got to the point where everybody just, while everybody had gardens, now hardly anyone are doing gardens anymore. And I think because we didn't push it onto our children, for the most part, we as a people didn't raise our children doing gardens. And the parents were out there planting and doing stuff, but the kids weren't. And so the kids grew up not wanting to do it and not seeing a need for it. And then eventually, now the youth today don't have nothing to do with gardening or wanting a farm or anything like that. They don't see the importance in it. And so we're trying to drive that home to everyone, especially you young men. Hey, it's important, okay? It's very important. Grow yourself some food. Grow yourself some food. You know, you can do this thing. It's not hard to do. You know, and once you get to doing it, and I tell you, eventually something gonna kick in and you gonna say, wow, it is nice. You know, you may start out with just a little small area of only 5 by 5 little space. Grow your own food and just get a feel for it, you know. And I guarantee you, you will love it. Once you get yourself back into getting out there and fooling with it, I'm telling you, you'll have a love for it. You'll say, wow, I'm so glad I started getting into this. Maybe for the first time, but you'll be glad that you got into it, you know. But anyway, I just want to say I love you all, and may the Most High continue to bless you. Shalom.